We on? Okay. So this time, I'm going to give it that downward curve because the waist, I would say, is a little, just slightly low slung. Well, you know, you can see the natural, the top of the waist is at the natural, top of the waistband is at the natural waist where the bottom is slightly low. So that means it would have to be slightly contoured waistband, and we'll give it a slight downward curve. Okay, we're going to skim that high bum and then let the fabric flow away. So again, just working on those flowy lines. Takes a couple lines, that's okay. You can always go back. When you transfer, you'll clean the drawing up. Okay, on the opposite side, let's relax the line and then have a little compression line right there where that leg bends, and the fabric will just lay on top of the leg. Go ahead and draw the back seam. So trace basically the crack of her butt there, and then just let that line flow below. So it's not as, straight as what we just did on the pencil skirt. It can flow. Here I made a mistake. We'd have to decide where the closure is on the skirt. Actually, let's put it on the side instead of the back. So that wasn't, never mind. So don't put this seam, it would make more sense to have a side closure. So since she's turned with her back to us, and what side are closures on in garments?
For women?
For women?
On the right. On the right? Are we on the right?
On the left.
So the zipper would be on the left side of the
Women are
garment.
right and guys are always wrong.
That's
On the left.
buttons.
Yeah.
That's buttons.
Oh,
but
for
not
sides,
closures.
for sides.
Yeah, and I don't
On the
even,
left. Oh, see,
I don't know the
skirts.
historical reason that zippers are always on the left. I think it has to do with servants dressing men
Right,
during the
That's why
military.
a lot of the buttons are the way they are, because the men had,
Dressers.
and the women had the corsets. People were dressing them, so it had to be easy for the person dressing them, not the person wearing it. It's in a history
Yeah.
book. There's a fashion.
I know, I have to
history of
find that,
fashion book.
because the zipper on the left, it has something to do with it,
That
but
little black fashion encyclopedia book, it's in there.
okay.
Which black one?
It's like a little tiny fashion, I think it's called fashion encyclopedia.
Well, anyway, so back to so the zipper being on the left side, we're not going to see it. You see that? Because she's turned with her back to us, we don't see the left side of her body. So we're going to ignore it. But we know it's there. All right, so this is now this is a little bit tricky. We have to figure out where to put the columns of fullness. All right, so if this is flowing, I have it, I've just kind of made it flow this way, and I guess I will still. So that would be the column of fullness coming off the high hip. Now, it could angle the other way, but it looks pretty angling this way. Also, we would have a column of fullness coming off that leg that's extending, and the fabric would fall away from that leg. So put it more from like that anchor point flowing down. So I think I'm changing it up a little bit. Because then we should also have a column of fullness coming off this center area. And again, these are the convex curves. So here, if you look, we've got flowy, we've got convex, convex, and there's a nice substantial column of fullness. We've got this convex column of fullness, and then we'll throw, and we could put a full one in there. Let's see what that looks like. If it's too much, we can, yeah, let's try it though. Okay, so here, I got too many lines. Let me take one so that you can see what I'm doing. Or I could just go back and darken them up with a, yeah, I think that's going to look okay. I'm going to darken it up so you can see what I just did. Okay, so here's the center. There's that substantial column of fullness. Column of fullness coming off the high leg. There's the compression laying. Okay, I'm going to change it up and put this little column of fullness right there too. So we'll see which, then we can compare. We'll compare and see which one we like the best. Because you've got this one as a reference too. Okay, so once again, the hip angle, like so. All right, so we've got to figure out, I guess we probably should have done, but you can see down here on this little practice, or this reference, I did some fun little loop-de-doos. Now that's, again, artist creative expression. I was having some fun there. All right, so it doesn't necessarily follow the rules. So I'm going to start here at center back, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of curve, do a little flippy. And then it's going to fall back, and then it'll fall down and back, and then it'll come back around that knee. So I'm doing a little flippy, and then up, down, up, and around. Now over here, I like this. I like this little, and see, technically you could have another little line for a column of fullness there. I do like that. So I'm going to try it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not sure how to describe it. It's kind of a backwards S and a forwards S, right? And then I'll pull it, again, watching my angle, got this backwards S, forwards S, and then I'll flip that up around, add a little column of fullness, and it just gives more movement to the hem of the skirt. It looks like a flowy charmeuse or chiffon, or not, maybe not chiffon, but a flowy fabric. So I like this. So there it is, there it is. Do you need to see this? Let me go over that hem again. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's start at the back seam. I'm gonna do a little flippy right there. Did you see it? Little flippy. So it's a little backwards S. Okay, then I'm going to go up, down. Then see, here's the column of fullness. The fabric in between is a slight upward curve, and then I'm just going to curve it up around that leg. Looks pretty good. I added another little tiny column of fullness so I could kind of have this backwards S, forwards S, and then I finish and it just looks flowy and flippy. Okay, then you indicate the fabric falling back on itself in that little curve right there. So it's just two little straight lines as the fabric's kind of falling back on itself. And you might do the same here. Okay? How are we doing? Are we being challenged tonight? What would life be without challenges?
When it came to drawing, it'd be just fine with not having any challenges.
No. Then you wouldn't learn how to draw. Gotta have some challenges. Okay, the blouse. Here we go. Are we ready? Or you need a minute? Let's go. All right. Okay, so this was the top that had the curved empire line. So this is, again, subjective, and so I determined that if the empire line was curving up at the front, that it would just curve down in the back. All right, so that's why I've given it that slight downward curve. So I just kind of estimated, where that line would continue. Now this top could be tucked into the skirt, or it could just kind of meet the waistband. What do you think?
It looks like it was tucked in from the front.
Yeah, that's what I looked at.
Oh, you know what?
wait, is this the
Actually, this
fuller
is the one that dipped in the front.
Oh, this was the,
So it met. So it's actually
Meets
it's
it?
just going to meet. Yeah. So what you might want to do is bring the waist, the top of the bottom of the top out just a little further than the waistband. And again, you can kind of curve it around like we do the necklines. And so you can see I have a little compression line there. Okay, now this sleeve was kind of difficult to figure out even for me. I was like, wait a minute, how's this going to work? Because it doesn't have a sleeve seam. It's more of a dolman. So I just let kind of excess fabric here kind of pull across there, because I really didn't know how to indicate that. You can see there's no collar, so the neckline just pulls straight across from the shoulder, because it just had a V-neck. Again, I'm going to put an earring, indicator chin. I was trying the long hair, so I just sort of tried to sweep it from over her ear around, because like I said, this angle for the back of the head is a little challenging, I think, to draw. So maybe just try to sweep the hair. Okay, so on this side, we'll just kind of trace the arm, angle down. It's got a long kind of compressed sleeve, compression wrinkle at the wrist. Let the sleeve come all the way down to the fingers. This sleeve on this side is just kind of close to the arm. And then this was the sleeve, if you recall, that it angles out a little bit at the elbow and then dips back in, relax the line, and then add some compression, wrinkles, and let the sleeve be very long. And then same thing over here, only I went more subtle with the angle on the side away from the viewer. Got a little compression, again, just very long sleeve, only a little bit of hand showing there. I added, so I've got this, sort of compressed fabric line. Then I added some hanging folds. So I've got one over here and over here. And then last, of course, we'll add some gathers, because the top of that bodice is gathered into the fitted part of the bodice. Now, in real life, to make that fit like that, unless it's a knit, we would have to have some seams. So is it a knit or is it a woven? You guys choose.
A woven.
Okay, so if it's a woven, we could have all this because we have gathers, but down here, we would have to have a princess seam or a seam to add shape so that that bodice would fit closely. So I'll add it over here too.
So she has back darts.
It could be darts or seams. Yeah, I just made it full seams. You would have to build shape into that bodice.
She sort of does look like a football player, doesn't she?
She's got some really wide shoulders. Interesting enough, we've got a model that has modeled at our fashion shows for years, and she's got the same exact body. She has shoulders like she's from Lakewood originally, and she went through this program, and now she's a model. She's been a model for many years, professional model, but she's got shoulders like you can't believe. Kind of like a man. But she looks great. Narrow hips, big, wide shoulders, named Sam. Very cool lady. Okay, you did it. You made it. Now you made it to dessert time. You made it to get your colors out, to play with your colors. So what you're going to need are those drawings that you set up, and we're going to start with the figures, and then we'll work our way to the faces, and we'll see how much we can get done tonight. Okay, so let's see, what references? I'm going to go ahead and take these. Okay, to move this? Okay, what you're going to need is take one of your scraps of tracing paper and maybe fold it in half. I'm going to just use, and have it next to you, because we use tracing paper as a palette to mix our colors. So just tape it next to you. Oops.